people in their life, they have a certain, they either call it a bottleneck moment or a crisis moment or something that triggers, that changes things, right? What was that moment, or was there a moment like that for you where really it made you kind of question deeper inside yourself and maybe actually search for some sort of strength that allowed you then to rise even stronger afterwards?
When I really reverted to Islam, and I really choose my word reverted, which I think are more relevant to me, it's never easy, because you have a past, you have old habits, you never prayed before you start to pray 5 times. It can be overwhelming at the beginning. And I remember in my early 20s, I tried to pray. But imagine someone who starts to pray something that is completely away from his personal habits, daily habits, and he starts doing that. This is kind of traumatizing, almost. This is a shock, because you do something where you're supposed to get closer to Allah and be very, very sincere, full of sincerity doing it, and you don't feel anything. This is something that we have to address as Muslims ourselves, even though most of us, we've been Muslim for decades. We have to ask this question all the time. And I remember at the beginning, I was praying, and at the beginning, it's all good and you feel great. But when you're alone and you have to perform your 5 prayers and so on, and you feel that you don't have so much response in terms of spirituality and growth and so on, it's hard sometimes. And I remember at one point I put everything into question, and I was afraid. I said, what's happening to me? I was so into it, and now I don't want to pray anymore. And it was at the very, very beginning. And subhanAllah, I never stopped searching. And I think also this is something that we have to call ourselves into question in terms of our level of sincerity. Never stop searching. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay sometimes not to be convinced 100%. But if you're sincere, you have good intention, and you search and you work for it, it's not enough to have good intentions. Try, alhamdulillah, in our society now we get access to education. We can open books. We can try to listen to people, especially now with social media and internet and so on. So I never stopped really searching, and I was asking myself even more questions than before, but I had this strong doubt. And I remember it was during Ramadan, subhanAllah, Ramadan again. And I stopped praying for one period of time, but I wanted to fast, because subhanAllah, I love to fast. And I remember in that period as well, I went to Mali, and it opened my eyes. Not like over there, the people are all pious or whatever, there are wrong people everywhere, but I was not being focused so much on how people behave, but I was more like, again, fascinated and reconnecting with the practice. I was seeing people like working, this is time for prayer, stopping, putting their mat on the floor, praying. I was listening to the adhan. I was seeing people breaking fast together and stuff. And it rang a bell again, to me, it woke something up in my soul. I felt it. And I was asking questions. I remember I was with my dad, rahimahullah, and we were like in the country, and he was seeing some of his friends. Some of them were believers, some less. And I remember I was even asking questions, because they were saying things that didn't add up to me. For example, there was that brother was saying, yeah, but anyway, we don't have to ask too much question in Islam, to ask ourselves too much question. We just ask to pray, and it's part of our anyway. So everything that is part of our culture is beautiful, and that's it. I was not convinced with that. I said, no, something is missing, because if you enter into this deen, into this religion, you have to be convinced, because this is too powerful. You cannot just say, oh, because I was born Muslim and this is part of my culture, and everything that is part of my culture is beautiful. For me, it was just not good enough. So I kept asking myself, and I asked my father's friend, I asked him, I said, but isn't that a lack of sincerity to think like this? Because religion has to be sincere. You have to do it for God, not just because it's your culture. And he didn't know what to answer. And I was 19, 20 years old, and they were a little bit shocked that I even asked questions, because in our culture back in Africa, young people don't just intervene in adults in adults conversation. So anyway, I was asking myself a lot. I was searching, subhanallah, I was searching. I was not good with myself. I came back to Lyon after this. It was a winter holiday. I had a few days off. I came back to Lyon, and subhanallah, I was with my friends, just like, how do you say that? Killing time, walking, looking at the shops and so on. And it was still Ramadan, I remember. And subhanallah, I started to feel something like squeezing my heart. I started to feel at that moment, I was with my friends, people I love. They are good friends of mine. And by the way, most of them, they reverted to Islam as well. But something was missing. I just couldn't resist the urge of praying. SubhanAllah, it was just something crazy. It was like I was not like fulfilling my primary function on this earth. I was like, I need to pray. I need to put my forehead on the floor right now. I can't bear this anymore. And SubhanAllah, we went to visit one of our friends, and I went into his place. And I said, please give me a towel. Where is the bathroom? Let's go. And I went to the bathroom. I did wudu and I prayed. And at that moment, I knew, subhanallah, I knew that. So sometimes it's not about something extraordinary happening. It's just like the signs are there all the time. Allah is calling you to pray. He's calling you to faith all the time, but we don't see the signs. It's not the absence of signs. It's just our inability or an inability to see them. That same day where I started and decided to pray, I came back home. Subhanallah, I opened the letterbox and I see the letter. I see a letter from one of my aunts in Mali, and this is the first time in her life and in my life I received a letter from that particular aunt. I received that letter. I opened, and in the letter it was a little booklet about how to perform prayer. I had never, I don't even speak. I don't even speak good Bambara, our Malian language. So I never really spoke with that aunt well because she speaks only Bambara and so on. But it's just like that letter come from nowhere. I don't even know why. She didn't even know I was struggling to try to pray or to come to. She didn't know anything about that. And that particular day, I come back home. I open the letterbox. The first time she writes to me in her life, it's just a booklet of how to pray. And that day I was just convinced. And I never let go after that. And the second thing that is a little bit, there are many things because the signs I said, you see them all the time, to be honest. So it's almost a lack of respect toward God to say, oh, I see one or two signs or there is a particular, but yes, sometimes we are more sensitive to some signs. And the other one was, unfortunately, may Allah have mercy on his soul, the death of my nephew who was 9 years old. And it was at that time as well, I was into Islam and so on, but still I was at the beginning. But the loss of my nephew that didn't even have a chance, you know what I mean? I mean, not much chance to have a longer life and fulfill his opportunities and so on. I just felt again a sense of responsibility and the responsibility of night. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect and I'm not doing like some bad things or I'm thinking only praying all day. No, but I'm just saying that since he passed, I knew that I was not going to go back to futilities. That's the word in
trivial kind of things. Yeah,
trivial kind of things. I knew that I was not even allowed to do that because I was not allowed to waste my time anymore. Doesn't mean not enjoying yourself. I was just saying that to a trivial life. And there are two big signs for me that helped me go ahead with my journey, I would say.